Hello, 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 hello.
We are back.
Adrian, this is you. So when you have something to say, you look at this one
Yeah,
or center for, but mainly this one.
yeah, done.
How
Easy.
you feeling?
Feeling good. I'm feeling much better now that I get to watch my time back with Afina and see the good side.
Last time we chat, you were a bit not too happy with it all.
Yeah, I think putting yourself out there to the world and watching yourself on TV make some mistakes and everyone judging you online, it's a lot. It's a lot to take on, and it's a new experience for everyone on the cast. And I think that you know we're not taught how to handle those things. So seeing all that stuff online and watching your bad moments is confronting. And I think that, yeah, for me it was a lot. And I didn't really know how to cope or deal with it. So I felt a type of way, that's for sure.
So how were you coping with it? Like,
To be fair, I was hoping, obviously I knew my time on the experiment. And I know how me and Afina were the last half from Byron Bay onwards. So I was hoping that, we will see the good side of our relationship and see me making more of an effort and trying to do better. And fortunately enough, it played out like that.
do you think at the start what were people not much seeing?
I think, well, I know what was shown, and it's a bit upsetting to see that my reasons behind certain situations were never shown. I think, certain things like with Athena's son, us living in different states, all the things that contributed to, us potentially moving forward in a relationship as a whole, those discussions weren't really shown. And it's a bit frustrating to watch back because not only did we have, her son to think about, we had the different states, we had my life and her life and how it was going to look. We both made it clear to production prior to coming on the show that we don't want to move states. And when you pair us up with someone that lives across Australia, was a lot. It's like, okay, well, it's not like we're an hour away. A lot of my family's in Melbourne, so that's the only place I probably would have considered moving to. And I know Athena wouldn't want to move from her state, and I don't blame her. She's got her father of her son there. And me personally, when I got into that situation, when I first found out about her son, I made it clear to the experts, I made it clear to everyone and Athena that I would never expect Athena to move from her home state. Her son's there, and more importantly, her father of her son's there as well. So these are things that are explained. These are things that my concerns that are raised early days, and those things weren't shown. Even at the home stays, you hear Athena say how much her mum loves me. And these are things that we discussed with her mum and Cleo. Cleo asked me the question, Athena lives in Perth and so does her son. And I made that clear. I'd never expected Athena to move. So there was a lot of pressure on me to make that commitment.
So we got to talk about why you actually stayed on the show. Like, what was obviously you and Afina? Like, did you see where things wanted to go with you guys? What was the reason you knew neither of you was going to move states?
Yeah.
What was the reason you stayed then? Like,
Well, I'm going to take it back to the very start. Before you get on the show, you're asked a bunch of questions, the things that you want in a partner and the things that you don't. Me personally, one of the main things was I didn't ask for much. I asked for two important things. One, I asked for someone to be open-minded, and the second thing I didn't necessarily want because there's so much hurdles that come with that is someone with a child because I have I have my life set in Sydney, and I understand someone else with a child has their life set where they're from, and so when I got hit with that at the wedding, there was a lot, and more importantly, the reason why the main concerns I had with someone having a child was I've seen my friends. There's two main reasons. The first main reason is when you open yourself up to love, you open yourself up to getting heartbroken. And second to that is if you fall in love with someone with a child and eventually that doesn't work, you lose two people that you love. And that's a big thing. And that's something that, played on my mind the whole time. And my best mate has a child and he dated someone else with another child, and that ex-partner was involved, her ex-partner was involved, and it was nothing but a headache. So I seen that, I was worried about that because I seen that firsthand. And when I went into that wedding, I was like, well, I asked for someone open-minded. Who would I be if I'm not open-minded to this right now? So I stayed in the experiment, and as I got to know Awhina more, I got to know her relationship with her ex-partner, and they were fine. They're great parents to their child. They got a healthy relationship, considering they're not together. And when I seen that too, okay, that was one thing that I didn't have to worry about anymore, because I don't want to come in and feel like I'm taking on someone's son and the father of the child to get upset with me. And yes, there was a bunch of reasons. And even people asked on the show, people have asked a number of times, have I met her son and why didn't I meet her son on homestays? The number one reason for myself, Awhina wasn't ready, and nor do I think I was. But me and Awhina had this discussion that if that day ever does come, I said it at the commitment ceremony, that I want to meet the father of her son, because I want to make sure that he is comfortable enough with me to be around his son as well as Awhina. As in, if I was a father, I think that's how I would want to deal with it. I want to meet the person that you're introducing to my son and then go from there.
And do you think Awhina made the right decision?
Yeah, 100%. Awhina definitely made the right decision going into homestays, because we did have an up and down relationship. You know, the first 3 to 4 weeks for us, we were still navigating our relationship. We were still navigating how we feel. You know, we both said in our vows that we're going to give it 100% to the ups and downs. And up until that homestays, we had about 2 to 3 weeks where we were like, hey, this can be something real, and we have real feelings towards each other, but we still have some big decisions and discussions to have that we hadn't had at that point.
Yes.
So yeah, and I think that's the main reason why she didn't introduce me to her son, because we still weren't having those discussions. Okay, how does this look like on the outside world? And we were both like, hey, from this point onwards, once we do leave the experiment, let's see how we feel, you know?
Yeah. Tell me about your relationship with Cleo.
I don't have a relationship with Cleo. Quite frankly, you know, off camera, me and Cleo, off camera, this is the things people didn't see, and this is why I was so confused too when Cleo came back into the family week. The week before that, I took them, the week before that, I took Cleo, sorry, the week before that, Cleo came to Sydney to see Awhina. I took them down to the Blue Mountains, showed them, you know, the three sisters, and we went out for lunch. And we went out the night before with Billy and Sierra, Cleo and Awhina. And, you know, at that time, me and Awhina weren't in the best space, but we both made the effort to go there. And the next day I was like, okay, well, you know, I need to show up and I want to show her and Awhina around Sydney. So I drove down there, showed them around one of the beautiful places in Sydney. And then we come to that stay. Then we come to family week, and she sort of, you know, got her back against the wall. And then that didn't go down too well. And you can't blame anyone for this, because we're all guilty for it. But, you know, obviously when you're upset in a relationship, chances are you usually talk about the negatives to someone that you care about, whether it be your brother, your sister, or your friends. And I think that's what Awhina was doing. You know, I've done that myself as well, because we don't sit there and often say, hey, my partner did this and cooked me dinner, and he took me there and he took me to dinner. We don't talk about those things to other people. We sort of just voice our negativity and our hurdles in a relationship to those people. So I think Claire was getting a lot of that. Again, I don't blame Awhina for that, because that's just the reality of most situations with people in a relationship. And then coming into homestays, you know, you only seen a minute of how that really went. Me and Cleo made amends. You know, we both agreed that we're both not going to get an apology, which was fine. I never knew I was going to get one. I was sort of just being a smartass. That's just the person I am. And, you know, I asked and she said no, and we moved on. And I accepted it. And she goes, you know, I don't think that you guys are going to work, which is a bit like, well, hey, for me it was a lot. I'm like, your sister cares for me and I care for your sister. You know, if anything, you should be encouraged in our relationship, because we're both happy now. And that was a bit, you know, that annoyed me a little bit. And that day post lunch, we sat down in the room, me, Claire and her mum, and had a chat for an hour while they were setting up the cameras and Awhina was doing voxes. and we left fine. Like, and the next day we jumped on camera again and we spoke about it, and me and Cleo were fine. So that's the last time I seen her. I had no bad blood to Cleo. Like, I understand people get heated. I understand people say the wrong things, and myself included, not just her. And you can feel a type of way towards someone, but you know, I'm the type of person that moves on easy. Like, you know, if I'm with Awhina, then I'm not going to sit there and argue with my sister, my partner's sister, nor would I want them to. So I get everything's easy, and so does Awhina. That's why we work so well as well. So for her to, yeah, I don't know how she feels about me, thinks about me. But at the same time, she's entitled to her opinion.
Okay, where do you stand with Awhina now?
Me and Awhina are still in a great place. Like, we talk, honestly, I reckon 4 or 5 times a week. We text probably every second day. She's planning on coming to Sydney next week, and I'm definitely going to see her. And yeah, like, we're, you know, when's this getting head?
Well, whenever we want.
Yeah, you know, I think me and Awhina are one of the couples that aren't together. Like, say, how much couples were there? 14 or 12? Besides Jeff and Ree, I'm pretty sure no one else really stays in contact too often, but me and Awhina are in contact every second day. We're probably the closest couple that aren't together.
Were you ever in love with Awhina?
Was I in love with Awhina? No, but the feelings were definitely developing, and I think she can say the same. People say you often, you know, you stay on the show for clout or more fame or more airtime, whatever you want to say. But what you don't understand is, imagine you get stuck in a room with someone that you don't like for 24/7. You will not stay. I don't care what you want. And the perfect example is Billy and Sarah. You know, if you don't like someone and you're not getting along, you will leave, no matter how much you want to stay there. And that was the exact same case for me and Awhina. And I'm not going to lie, like, up until that point of Byron Bay, it was a lot for me and her. You know, we had great chemistry. You know, people seeing that in the experiment, I think they can validate that as well. But we just weren't connecting in the way we speak to each other, the way we were dealing with situations and each other, more importantly. But after that point, we decided both to stay. I can 100% say the feelings were definitely there. And I think you can see it in a lot from Byron Bay onwards. You know, we're always together. Even off the camera, everyone there knew that we were the one couple that spent every single minute together. And we didn't have to, but we chose to because we wanted to. So the feelings were 100% there, and they were developing there.
And you and Awhina actually went missing.
Yeah, we did. Me and Awhina were a bit bad like that. Maybe I think I was a bad influence on her.
The whole cast turned on you guys.
Yeah, but she's someone like that. Yeah, me and Awhina went away one weekend, and we thought we messaged production, but she messaged the wrong number, and we ended up staying with Tony that weekend. But
Do you reckon wasn't that the weekend that saved the marriage?
yeah, it's funny you say that. So, you know, at that point, you know, we were on a bad stage, and the experts, you know, said we had to show up, or I had to show up and make an effort. And I decided to take her down to Shore Harbour and see Tony and, you know, have a great day. And we ended up having a great weekend. And I think that's where we established, like, this is what it was before we got caught up in the middle of all this stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and one thing Awhina can admit, as well as myself, is that when we're on camera, we weren't the best. Like, you get asked hard questions, and especially early days when you don't know each other, you don't know how to handle each other's way of communicating. The minute the cameras are off, me and Awhina were great. And, you know, and she can admit that as well. So when we went away that weekend, we both realized, like, hey, let's just pretend we both just met and restart and see where this goes, and not dive into the deep end. Let's just take things slow. And when we've done that, look how it turned out.
I do want to ask you about next week, so this will go up. Why did you choose to accept the challenge from these experts for the final task?
That's a great question. And my perspective on that was that me and Awhina obviously had our ups and downs. So I thought it would be good for both of us, and I knew she would go. I was hesitant. No, wait, let me start again. That's a great question. And my perspective on that was me and Awhina both should go because we've had our ups and downs, and we had such a big commitment coming up, whether we're going to stay together. and make it work. And I could trust Awhina 100%, and I know she trusts me 100%. And I was fine for her to go on, and I believe she was fine for me to go on, and you guys will see that. But it was like, I want you to go there. I want you to sit and see what it feels like with someone else that might be the complete opposite to me, and vice versa. And if you come back with questions and doubts now, then I'm glad that happened now than post-show. Once you go home and I go home and you meet someone else and you call it a day. So I wanted her to go, and I wanted to go and to see where our feelings were after that. And if you question that after that date, you can say, then I'm glad we did that going into the final vows. Because if we decided to commit, then it's 100% committed. And if we didn't, then at least we can end it on a great note, knowing that we tried.
Yep. Sorry, do you need me now? Do you need me now, or can we wait 5 minutes? All right, cool, thanks. I just want to make sure I can ask.
Anyway, when we both came back to that, we both laughed about it. You know, I even said whether they play that or not, that I'm so grateful that I got Awhina. Like, I'm so grateful that she walked down the aisle, and I couldn't imagine doing it with anyone else. And we both came back and we both said that, you know, we appreciate each other, and thank God we got stuck with each other.
I got to ask, because I'm sure it's going to come up. Did you keep in contact with your date?
No, absolutely not.
Not liking her photos, none of that?
No.
Not following her on Instagram?
No.
So if we check right now, you're
Go
not
for
following her?
Go for it.
All right.
I think, from my understanding, I'm joking. What actually happened was everyone, I definitely didn't like her photos and that. Everyone's, I guess you can say, date added each other on Instagram, but it wasn't like I didn't.
I'm asking you if you added.
Yeah. No, I didn't add her. No, I didn't add her.
So not following. She's not following you either.
I know she's probably following me. I don't know. I haven't had my Instagram, so I don't know. But I'm pretty sure she was following me. She followed me a couple of weeks. No, I'm pretty sure she followed me. Whether she's still following me now, I'm not sure. We didn't stay in contact. No. But I don't know. I don't know if Awhina is as well. I'm pretty sure Awhina's date that day, whatever you want to call it, added her, and that's fine. It's like whatever. They just met. It's all good.
I know you probably don't want to talk about this, but we got to go there. No longer friends with Jasmine.
No longer friends with Jasmine.
What happened?
I think, you know, she has a lot going on in her life. You know, she's doing her thing and I'm doing my thing. And we were doing Sweet Sundays together, and that took a lot of time and attention. And you know, there's a few things that she can say which she's right to why it ended, and had her reasons, and I had my reasons. So we both had certain reasons to why the relationship should end. And the reason why, like, I can say I didn't sort of try to keep that relationship for myself. I don't know what her reasons was. I guess we both validated that it should end. But, you know, having a girl mate that close to you, a lot of people weren't like that. Me personally, I don't know how I'd feel about it if I met a girl and she was really close to a guy. It can get in between that relationship. So when that ended, I thought, you know, it's time that it ended. We're both on our own journeys, and I want to focus on myself and keep building my business, and I'm sure she wants to do that as well. But also in my relationship, I don't want another girl that close to me, because that can cause friction. And no matter if you're okay with that, you're not going to like it.
Was she in love with you?
Was she in love with you? No. No, no way. I mean,
I don't know.
who knows? At the end of the day, man, me and Jasmine, I wish her nothing but the best. And it's just life, you know. When you're with someone, when you're friends so long, friends come and go. It's as simple as that. You know, she came into my life and she benefited my life a lot, and I've done the same for her. I'm sure she can admit that. She said it a number of times on her social media, and it was just time for that relationship to sail on.
I got to ask, she did have a bad episode.
Yeah.
She copped a lot of hate, as did your sisters. Do you think their comments were out of place? What do you make?
Yeah. Listen, that day was probably the most upsetting day to watch every single episode. I didn't know how that was going to play out. There's the edit, and then there's the truth. I'm not saying that anyone was in the right and wrong. Everyone played a role that day. You know, the only thing I can say, like, Jasmine knew Awhina. She met her a number of times. She formed her opinion on Awhina. And like I said before, we vent to our friends about the bad times in the relationship. And I've definitely done that, just like Awhina done that with her sister. And so when we came into that day, obviously Jasmine heard what I had to say to her about our relationship, as my brother has as well, and as Cleo did. So, but she met Awhina a number of times, so she formed her own opinion.
Yeah.
And yeah, she was being a bit passive aggressive in a way, but at the same time, so was Cleo. Like, we seen 2 minutes of that. That sit down was probably for about 15 minutes. Cleo was yelling at me for 15 minutes. You know, the way she was speaking to me was speaking down on me, was speaking at me, same as Jasmine and same as my sisters. I can honestly say my sisters didn't do wrong. They were quiet. They were asking questions. They were asking some tough questions, yes. You know, and then my sister, they were just like, I didn't come here to argue and fight. We came here to have a nice lunch and sit down and try to help you guys. And then my sisters got up and left after Cleo was just sort of yelling at everyone. Again, Cleo had her reasons to be upset because Awhina was upset. I can completely understand that. But we're here to try to help our relationship, not try to bring more tension to it. And I guess with Jasmine and Cleo, they done that because they were both in defensive mode for their friend and for her sister. And that's the way it went down, and it's a shame that it went down that way. You know, again, not everyone's seen everything. There's a reason why I didn't apologize to Cleo, and I stick by that and I will stand by that.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why she didn't apologize back to me. So yeah, you know, that was a hard watch for everyone. No one in life deserves to be judged and hated on considering they're not in control of the narrative. You know, it's not just my sisters, it's not just Jasmine, Cleo, me or Awhina. It's everyone. Like, you can't sit there and judge people and call them names when you didn't see or you weren't there. So no one deserves a backlash. Not me, not anyone on the cast. And more importantly, not anyone that's there that's not on the show. Like, same as, you know, everyone else in the experiment, like Marina's friends, Tony's friends, those people don't deserve a backlash. They're there to just come and support their family.
Yep.
And yeah, so yeah, that was hard. That was a hard, tough time. You know, I definitely after that had my walls up to everyone, you know, online, because it was frustrating to watch and it pissed me off.
I think we're starting to see a more relaxed, happier version of Adrian. Like, I watch your TikTok live. You're actually like pretty funny and like.
Yeah, I think that now people are getting to see the real me, and this is what Awhina's seen from day one. And yeah, I'm not perfect. I never have been, and I never will be. You know, but what you see now, like Elliot would agree with, and so would Awhina, is what you get with me. And yeah, when everyone's hating on you and you're watching bad edits and your mistakes, that's a lot to handle. And I guess people can see my way of dealing with things is, I guess, playing like fighting fire with fire. So I get on the defense and I'm like, well, if you're going to hate on me, I'm going to give you a reason to hate on me, because, you know, judging me off a show, not for me, not for who I am. So when at that time everything was going on, I was just like, you know, didn't know how to deal with it. I was angry. I was upset, you know, and I was like, well, if you're going to hate on me, then I'm going to give you a reason to hate on me. And it wasn't the right approach. I wish I just sort of, you know, kept my mouth shut and just wrote it out. But again, I've never dealt with such a thing. I wasn't told how to deal with everything post-show, watching the show, and the backlash. This is completely new to me.
What's your biggest regret
On the show?
just from going on the show?
As cheesy as it sounds, I don't have any regrets. You know, we can just learn from our mistakes, and that's what I've done. I do believe in my relationship, I'm going to be such a better person. Like, we go into this experiment knowing that we have flaws and faults, and in hope to be a better person in a relationship. Everyone there would say the same. And the difference was with a lot of people that wouldn't go on the show is we were willing to hold that mirror up to our face and accept when we're wrong. And it's not even just about the relationship. It's the way you speak about people. It's the way you handle situations. It's everything that comes into play while being on camera 24/7. And that's something that I knew going into the show. And I can watch back and be like, I have no regrets because I can't change time. But
Watching Awhina back being visibly upset, do you ever go, I should have done this, I should have done this?
yeah, 100%. Like, there's no if, buts, and maybes. Watching the time back and seeing behind closed doors that I didn't see, people might not know, but me and Athena weren't in a room for a couple of weeks there together. So off camera, we weren't together. So if she was upset or crying, I didn't see that. So when Cleo asked me that question, I'm like, okay, Athena never told me about this. I didn't see that, but I should have been more aware of the situation to see that. But I guess at the time, I had my walls up and I was in defense and I was thinking about myself, being selfish, I guess you can say.
I don't know if you're selfish. I think you're more stubborn sometimes.
Yeah,
also.
yeah, definitely stubborn. And I am. That's something I can admit. And I think everyone's stubborn in their own ways. And watching it back, I'm like, I watched last night's dinner party, and honestly, like, it made me feel a type of way seeing me and Athena in a great place. I'm like, I wish people got to see more of that. And yes, maybe we didn't do too much of that on camera for half the experiment, but it's so much more nicer watching yourself and your partner in a great place, actually seeing through the TV and through the camera that there's something real there, rather than the bad times, and seeing how happy you made someone else. Like, I'm sure she felt type of way seeing how happy I was there, just as much as I was loving seeing her, how happy she was, and us together.
Yeah, me too. Watching it back and seeing you guys happy, I'm just like, this is the version of you guys that I love.
Yeah, I made a TikTok of it, and I put it's funny how certain things can make you feel a type of way, and I was feeling a type of way when I watched that back. That's why I recorded it, and I put a song on it. And honestly, it sounds funny, but I was like, when you're watching that as a viewer with that song on and watching us come into that dinner party, and you feel a type of way watching that video, that's exactly how I felt.
Do you miss her?
Yeah, you know what? I think that, and I think, I don't know how she feels, but if we were in the same state, there's no if, buts, or maybes. We would have hung out and seen where it went. To say it was going to work, I don't know. And I think she won't know, but that's a question I can't answer because she's not here. Going into final vows, we had 4 days off. After that dinner party, we were both upset how the way it went. And you're not supposed to hang out with your partner.
And you did, yeah. You broke the rules.
And me and Athena got an Airbnb, and literally 24/7. And things that people didn't see, there's times in the experiment right after your honeymoon and before final vows where you're not supposed to see your partner. Every single day we're together. She stayed at my house for 3 days prior to going back into the apartment. After the final dinner party, you're supposed to have 3-4 day gap. After the final dinner party, you're supposed to have 3 to 4 days gap from your partner, make the decision. Me and her went and got an Airbnb and stayed with each other for 3 days straight. And to be fair, that's why the final vows went the way it did. Because
and you guys do something there we've never seen before.
Yeah, going into and it's funny whether they play this. So once you have some time apart, and we did have a day apart to make a decision and write our vows. Going into those final vows that day, they asked me the question, what's your decision? How you feeling? And my response to this was, when you're away from a partner, my response to that question was, when you are coming into a big decision like final vows and you got your time apart, you think about all the bad times. And I said to them, I can't really give you an answer right now. Even though I have wrote my vows, I won't know how I feel until we are face to face again. Because when you're with someone, all those problems go away. And that's how it was with me and Athena. And that's why you're going to see something that's never happened before in final vows. And I think she felt the exact same way. And that's exactly why the way it went. And at the end of the day, we both made the right decision on that day, 100%.
I agree.
It was. And
I was supposed to see you guys that day, remember?
Yeah.
And I'm like, why the fuck is it taking you guys so long?
So that day, we were told it's only going to take 3 hours. Me and Athena were there for free. That day was supposed to take like 2 to 3 hours filming. We were there for like 8 hours. Production wanted to go a certain way, and me and Athena already wrote our vows. Actually, no, don't hit that because I don't want to ruin that. That day we were there for 6 to 7 hours, and even though it's never happened before, I think it was a beautiful thing because it goes to show that, like, a lot of people can relate to it. Like when you're away from a partner, you can think about all the negatives, but when you're there, all the problems go away, and that's a beautiful thing to have in a relationship, is when you're with that person that nothing else matters and there's no problems. And with me and her, the feelings were real, hence why it went the way it went.
Cool.
And we spent the night together.
Love it. I need you to look to the camera and do an intro. Make sure it's like your main character. Say this is Adrian, main character from that season, whatever. Doing a tell-all with Daily Mail.
This is Adrian, and I'm one of your favourite characters on the show. Nah.
Whatever. Say what you want.
I'm trying to think. And we'll do an interview with Daily Mail?
Yeah. Just I'm going rogue, speaking to Daily Mail.
I'm Adrian, and I'm going rogue, speaking to Daily Mail. And some people might say this is the biggest redemption in maths history.
Hopefully there's a redemption there.
Hopefully. It's not over just yet, but, you know, at the end of the day, no matter who you are, people always...
Sorry, now this camera, Adrian from Maps, I'll duck out.
Yeah.
Just say, Adrian from Maps season 12, speaking to Daily Mail. Sorry. Thank you.
I'm Adrian from Maths. What do I say again? Speaking to Daily Mail.
Adrian season 12, is it 12?
Yeah, I think so.
Adrian from season 12, Maths season 12.
I'm Adrian from Maths season 12, speaking to Daily Mail.
Perfect. Thanks.
I think that was good. That's positive.
Thank you.
And I love the camera, apparently.
Yeah, you do. We'll do the pic. Sorry, I know you guys are waiting.
No stress.
Do we got to pause this?